So today is the final lesson on my series on guitar fingerstyle picking, and today what I want to do is to do an exercise where we'll be using a chord progression using 4 chords, and we'll be using this chord progression to practice the pick patterns that we've been covering over the last 2 lessons on this series. And I've chosen to show you 5 different pick patterns to use for this exercise, but you can use any of the pick patterns that I've showed you in this series and use this exercise to help you practice them. And this is a great way to use some simple basic chords to help you practice the picking pattern, and it will really help you find a means to practice it, and you'll end up developing this technique faster if you have a means to practice it other than just practicing on one chord. It's a good idea to want to use these by switching between different chords, because that's how you're going to be playing a song with these pick patterns. Unless you're playing a 1 chord song, you're going to be having to change chords while being able to do these pick patterns. So let's start off with going through the chords. So the chords we'll be using in this progression are C major, and then that will be moving on to A minor, then to F major, bar chord. And it's important you use the bar chord version of F here, because we'll be using some of the pick patterns that use all 6 strings, so make sure you're using the bar chord version of F. Then we'll be moving up a whole step to bar chord G. I'm going to do 2 bars for each chord, so it'll be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and change 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. Check out the handout where I indicate the chord progression, how many bars you need, and what chords to do, and how to finger them with the diagram notation. If you want to check that out as visual reference, go check out the handout. It's free, available on my website for free, so check that out if you need a visual reference as well to this chord progression. Let's take this chord progression and let's apply some picking patterns to go along with it, so we can get some real use out of this chord progression to help us practice our fingerstyle technique in these different picking patterns. So the first one we'll do for the exercise will be this one. Just a quick reminder of what that one is. That's the thumb on A, index on G, thumb on D, middle finger on B, and then repeat. Okay, so let's try that now. So let's start on the C chord, and it's 2 bars for each chord, and switch to the next chord, and we'll loop the chord progression 3 times in a row. So keep that fingerstyle picking going on for as long as you can. If it's too fast for you, then pause the video, try it a little bit slower. Then once you're comfortable with that, then speed it up. But even before you get to that stage, I would recommend you just practice each pick pattern on each chord. Do that on like the C for a little bit, and then do the exact same thing on the A minor, F major, and then G major. So for each pick pattern that we do in this exercise, before we do the progression all the way through, make sure you just practice the pick pattern on each chord separately. Familiar with the pick pattern for each chord and where your finger should go, because it's slightly different for each one, especially when we get to the harder pick patterns, with the one where there's more strings involved and more variety of movement in the fingers. So do that for each pick pattern that we do in this lesson before you do the chord progression with me in the video. So with that out of the way and said, let's start with the chord progression. So we're going to start on the C, and then two bars of that, then move over to A minor for 2, 2 for G, F, and 2 for G. On the count of 4. Get ready. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now to A minor. To F major. Now to G. also point out that if you're having any difficulty switching between any of these chords, and particularly if you're going from the A minor chord to the F major chord, that's quite a difficult change, then I would strongly advise that you practice the movement between each chord. Make sure that they're nice and smooth and that there's no delay, or too much of a delay for this chord progression, because if there's too much of a delay, then you're not going to be able to play in time with me in the video here, and you'll end up, even playing by yourself, you'll end up delaying the chord progression. You'll go out of time because of the slight delay. So make sure that your changes between each chord is quick, precise and as smooth as possible. That will really help you with this exercise. So make sure the chord progression is good to go in the left hand before trying this exercise. Move on to another pick pattern. Let's do the one that's in 6/8 that I remember showing you in the first lesson. One that goes like this. Just up and down with the fingers. Okay, and we'll do that for each chord. Count is going to be different because it's in 6/8, so it'll be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 instead of 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you come in. Okay, so again, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then come in. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. A minor, up to F, now to G, now back to C. Try an easier one. If you remember from the very first lesson in the series that I showed you some really easy ones, the second one that I showed you was the one where you're just using 3 notes. Let's try that one now. So that, just a reminder, that goes like this. So that is thumb on A, 3rd on G, thumb on D, index on G. So let's try that with each chord. On A. Let's try an F. Now with F, this is where it's going to be a little different. We're going to be using the thumb to get the low E this time instead of the A, because that's the bass note. We don't want this note because that's the 5th, so we want the bass note, root note, which is on the E. But then after that, it'll be exactly the same as it was with the last 2 chords. Index will play O G, thumb will play D, and then index will play G. It's just the bass will be different. And the same applies to the G chord as well. Thumb on low E, then index plays G, thumb on D, index G. Okay? Just practice that for a little bit. So pause the video and practice that for a little bit, then come back so we can do this exercise again. Now that you've practiced that a little bit on your own, let's try it with the chord progression and play it through 3 times in a row. So let's see how we do. And again, this is in back and 4/4. So on the count of 4, we'll start on the C, move to A, F, G, then repeat twice. Okay, so get ready on the count of 4. Get ready. 1, 2, 3, 4. Move to A. Now to F. Remember, change the bass line for the F. And same for G. Now back to the original for C. Bass is on A. Same for A. Now change the bass line for F. Now keep that going on G. Good. Now, one more time. Keep that going. Doing well. Some of the more difficult ones that we covered in the second lesson. We're going to do some Travis style picking now. So let's start off with the generic one that I showed you initially in the lesson. So that would be this one. Oh, we'll do it a lot slower, obviously. So just remember, it's the exact same thing as this one. Just going to be alternating between the A and the E low E string of the third finger. Just quickly note before we do the exercise, C is just going to be the same way as I taught you in the previous lessons. A is going to be similar idea. The only difference is we don't need to use the third finger to change the bass line, because your third finger is going to be up here on the second fret of G, so that's already occupied, but that doesn't really matter because we're just going to be getting the thumb to play the open E regardless, because that's okay for this chord. That's the note we want for this chord, so we can just do open E. So it's the same pick pattern as you do with the C, just minus the need to use your third finger to pick the note on the E string, because we're just going to be using the open E. Okay. Otherwise, that's the same. When we go to F and G, however, it's going to be a little different. The bass is going to start off on the low E this time, then do the same thing with the rest of the pick pattern. Strings G, D, and B, and then second time round, you pick the A string and then G, D, B. So it's the other way around to what you're doing on C and A minor. With F and G major, the bass is going to start on the low E, then you move to the A instead of starting on the A and moving to the low E. Okay? So now that you've practiced that a little bit on your own, and you feel more comfortable with it, hopefully, let's try it now with the chord progression. So here we go. We're going to start on C major, and again on the count of 4 we'll begin, and do your best to follow with this one. This will be a little tricky, especially putting it together. Travis picking is quite difficult, but just do your best, okay? So here we go. Get ready. Start on C on the count of 4. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's A minor. Now to F major. Remember the change, the bass line on the F. Keep that going to G. Now back to C. Remember you started bass on A. Keep that going for A minor. Now change it for F. Now to G. Now one more time through, back to C. Now to A minor. change the bass line again for F and keep that going. G major. The last one for this lesson, we'll do the applying all 6 strings of Travis picking. Okay, so same deal again. Practice that for each of the chords. Start on C, which is the same way that I showed you initially in the second lesson when I showed you how to play it. A minor is the same deal. Just remember with the A minor you don't need your third finger, you can just pick the low E string. The pick pattern is exactly the same otherwise. G. With F it's going to be a little different again, just like the last time. Your bass is going to start on the low E, and then it will go up to the A. Otherwise it's the same. Okay? And the same deal with G major. Start a little bit on your own and come back to the video. Okay, so let's try the 6-string Travis pick pattern with the chord progression. Now, if you make any mistakes, don't worry, just keep going, just do your best. That's all I ask of you. And the more you practice, the better you'll get at this. So let's start on C. Again, 2 bars for each chord. E minor, F, G. Okay? So here we go. On the count of 4, get ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's change to A minor. Now to F. Remember the change in the bass line. Now same on G. Back to C. Remember the bass line that starts on A. Now A minor. Alright, just one more time round. Keep it going. Doing well. That's the end of my series on guitar fingerstyle picking. I hope you really enjoyed that. Take those pick patterns away, practice them, and use the chord progression like we did in the video to practice the ones we covered in the video and the other ones as well. And have fun with it. It's really great stuff, and it's if you're really into fingerstyle picking, then these will really help you develop that fingerstyle technique. And loads of other things you can do with fingerstyle picking, but that's the basic fundamentals and principle behind fingerstyle picking. So take it away, practice this stuff, and you'll see great results before too long. So hope you enjoyed that. Like I said, check out my other series and stay tuned for the next video. Take care everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.